One need look no further than today's screaming headlines to see a culture in crisis. Failing financial institutions, investors bilked out of millions, high unemployment, a polarized political climate, and an era where civility is considered old school. The mission of the Center for Faith and Culture is to re-instill the love embodied in the gospel and the principles of our founding fathers back into today's American culture.
The Center for Faith and Culture seeks to understand how Christian faith and the dominant American way of life meet, interact, and affect each other.
Located on the campus of the University of St. Thomas in Houston, the Center for Faith and Culture offers conferences, symposia, interreligious dialogue, parish outreach programs, and a master's degree and a certificate program in faith and culture, all dedicated to facilitating an interaction between faith and American culture and the formation of faithful citizenship.
The place that I am in contact with the center is primarily through the summer institutes, spirituality institutes. And year after year, I see a growing group of ministers who are much, much more conscious of the difference and the tensions between what our everyday culture is teaching us and what the gospel is asking of us.
The real impact for me is to take what would be church teaching and to relate that to everyday life.
So shall we say, what I've learned in the center is there is a connection between theology and the practical life.
As a graduate student in the Master of Arts Faith and Culture program, what I think is most interesting is that it's an integrative study where you're bringing in subjects and disciplines across the board and really understanding who you are as a person of faith, living in a society and your relationship to the world and to God.
We usually create a dichotomy between faith and culture. I just go to church, I just do whatever I need to do in my parish, but I really don't need to help the poor. We're called out of ourselves because of the faith that we profess.
It's the best thing that the center could offer to bridge the gap, not to separate them, but to see culture and faith intertwined.
I think that teens especially, I think they're plagued with that idea that you can't exist in this culture and be a faithful person. I just want to show them that there's a different way.
It's asking us to take these values and ethical constraints that we have been discussing and talking about and bringing them into our daily decision making and our daily lives and our daily relationships, so that we fully discern the true issues and where God wants us to go.
The Center for Faith and Culture essentially presents the new evangelization of going out with the gospel, going out with what Pope Benedict XVI says, the gospel of love, and taking it out into the world.
Going out into the world as faith-filled citizens, respecting all voices and points of view, making the most of ecumenical, interreligious, and intercultural dialogue.
When you're able to see the deeper meanings behind things, you're able to get at the common ground, and from which you can at least be able to enter into dialogue.
The center actually offers an opportunity for people who come from different backgrounds, working for different agencies and working with different people, to get a better understanding of who they're working side by side with.
The center took the initiative to invite representatives from 3 major faiths so they could speak to their representative respective audiences, and they could speak to their hearts and show them that the core of peace messages is present in all of the scriptures.
The center's dialogue also helps faith-filled citizens engage in a reprioritization, living a life of ordered liberty.
The phrase ordered liberty ultimately brings the principles of the Declaration and of the Constitution together, understanding that both we are free as individuals, but we live in a civil and ordered society.
Functioning in various arenas of culture, including family, education, economics, science, and public policy, the center brings the Catholic voice to the ongoing conversation about the meaning of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness we hold in common as Americans.
Can we define a common good out there?
We are not culture bashers. What we are looking for is to appreciate the culture, to give it its proper value, but at the same time to recognize its limitations and how it is that Christian faith can take the good in the culture and bring those elements to their fullness for the dignity of the human person and for the good of the human community.
I think this is a perfect time for the empowerment that the center provides to try to form leaders who can go out and interact with the culture and maybe provide some steering and some pressure to try to shape the culture more towards Christian values.
And so I think it's so exciting to be really on the cutting edge of an entirely new way of thinking.
Now is the opportune moment. The center stands right on the edge of being able to grow in such a way through its activities and its publications and its outreach to so many different aspects of the culture and society that it has an unbelievable opportunity to bring the faith to the culture and the culture to the faith.